the future of your sons and daughters. The information that we're going to give you this evening is really important in terms of helping you decide the way forward. You might not know me. My name's Rob Gauntlett. I'm Director of Post-16 and Vice Principal in charge of Standards and Development. I am new to Dubai, but not new to the Middle East. I worked previously in Bahrain, and I worked at the British School of Bahrain, which was a school that ran both A-levels and IB. So I have worked in both systems, and I know the positives and the negatives of both systems. Our job this evening is to explain that to you and to help you make an informed choice about the future and help your sons and daughters make that informed choice as well. So I'm really pleased that you're here tonight to listen to the information that we're able to give you. I hope that you'll enjoy the next hour. I hope that you'll find it interesting and entertaining too. One of the things I've spent the last month or so talking about with parents and with students is this phrase, pathways to success. And I guess if I need to sum up what the purpose of this evening is, it's precisely that. We here at WSO are about pathways to success, which means, essentially, you are not going to hear this evening that A-levels are better than IB or that IB is better than the A-level route, because that's not what we're about. What we're about is getting students on that pathway to success. For some students, A-levels might be the right choice. For other students, IB will be the right choice. We are obviously going to present to you what we offer here at WSO, and we're going to sell that hard to you, of course. But at the same time, we want you to go away with information and be able to make an informed choice, to be able to make a fair choice about what's right for your son or your daughter. Not what's right for us as a school, what's right for your son or your daughter. So this pathways to success as a phrase, you're going to hear that a lot, I'm afraid, from me this evening. I'm going to explain what A-levels and IB are all about, just so we're all on the same page, so that we're all clear about what we're talking about. And I'll speak to you about 5 minutes or so on that, and then we'll have someone else so that you don't get too bored of listening to me. A-levels, for those of you who don't know, in essence, A-levels are about choosing 4 subjects in year 12. What typically happens is that at the end of year 12, a student might choose to sit one of those subjects as an AS, which means they've completed half an A-level, and then they will continue through to the end of year 13 with the remaining 3. So they would have a qualification that they can bank, an AS level, but they would do the full A-level by the end of year 13. Typically, but not always, an A-level is made up of a mix of coursework and examination, obviously the emphasis being more on the examination than on the coursework. There's not really any limit in terms of what the students can study for A-level. The limit will be down to the individual school and their timetabling, so they will timetable certain subjects together, and obviously if those subjects clash, then you wouldn't be able to study those. So you might say, well, I wish to study music and maths, and it might be that the school has already timetabled music and maths together, so that's a no-no. But by and large, schools will try to accommodate where they can. That last point, focused study, is really important, though. A-level is about a focused study. So it is very much about you choosing your 4/3 subjects, and that's what you're focused on, focusing on the content of those subjects and seeing those through to get your qualification. And typically, of course, those subjects are then going to determine what you would study at university. So that's fine. IB, slightly different. IB then is very much under this umbrella here of the learner profile. The learner profile, I'm not going to read that to you, you can see that is a set of qualities that the IB expects students to gain from studying the IB. So everything that they study on the IB course is inherently going to lead to the development of these qualities by the end of the 2 years. Everything that we do in IB, therefore, is dictated by these qualities. By the end of it, we should say that the students have acquired these qualities. Typically, we ask our students to study 6 subjects. And whereas I said with A-levels, there is a degree of choice in terms of what you choose, in terms of what you study, here you can see students are expected to study 6 subjects, and they come under those 6 different headings. So you can see students are expected to study maths, English, science, a foreign language, and then a humanities subject, and often an arts subject as well. They don't have any choice. They have to study a foreign language. They have to study English. The reason that the IBO asks for students to do this is because the IB diploma program is all about keeping that breadth of study. So students already have come out of GCSEs with English, with maths, with science. This is typical, and they've probably got a foreign language, and they've probably got a humanities subject. We would hope they would. And so they're continuing with that breadth of study. For some reason, sometimes students choose to do this because they're unsure about what they want to study later on, and other times it's because they just enjoy having that breadth of study. They're not ready to focus themselves on the study of a particular subject, maybe science or a maths route. One of the really key aspects of IB, though, is in addition to those 6 subjects, we have what is called the core, and that's down this side here, the other side of the slide there. You can see there we've got the core, that is creativity, action, and service, theory of knowledge, and extended essay. All students study that. They all study that regardless of the subjects that they've taken. This really enriches the IB because in these 3 aspects, they are learning essential skills that will prepare them for university. Creativity, action, and service is all about getting students away from those textbooks. It's about getting students to do something that isn't necessarily academic, to build that skill set. Creativity is all about being creative, learning a musical instrument, doing something that is creative. Action is about being active, going out there and doing something physical, being literally active. Service is about helping within the community, so that students are actually forced to see that it's more than just being academic. There's a whole, educating the whole self. Theory of knowledge is asking questions. How do we know what we know? How do we know this knowledge? What is knowledge? It's thinking about thinking. Extended essay is preparing students to write their dissertation when they get to university, at the end of university, 5 years later, essentially. It's being able to write an extended essay, the clue's in the name, to be able to write at length, to be able to write about something that they're interested in, something that they're passionate about, setting up those skills. What universities tell us is, because students have had this experience in addition to their 6 subjects, because they've had that experience, they're actually better prepared for university. We'll come on to that, more of that later. This is an important image, a little bit light there, but you can see, basically this is the IBO's figure, their representation of what the diploma program is all about. You can see at the center there, we've got the learner profile. That is at the core of what they do, that umbrella. And then we build out towards the core, which is the theory of knowledge, the extended essay, the creativity, action, service. And then we've got their 6 subjects around the outside of that. You can see it's a whole program, educating the whole self. At WSO, we also run a careers path as well. So we have the diploma path, which we call DP, and we have the careers path, which we call CP. The CP, slightly different, but still under that umbrella of the learner profile. That's still there. Students who are on the CP course are still acquiring those dispositions, those qualities that I spoke about at the beginning. However, their course is slightly different. At the center of their course, they are following a careers route, which we use a BTEC qualification to do that. That's generally it's a British qualification. It's recognized mainly in the UK, but it is recognized by European and American universities, and we are working with the education authorities in the UAE to help them to understand the benefits of BTEC as well, and we're slowly making ground with that. So they study a BTEC course. That can be, at our school, that can be a sports course, it can be creative media, or it can be business management. Again, more detail about that later. In addition to that, they also study 2 diploma courses. We ask them to study 2 diploma courses because we want to enrich what they're doing. We don't want it just to be the BTEC. We don't want it to be just that careers course. We want there to be the academic side of it too. So students will often choose subjects that enrich. So for example, you might have a student who studies creative media, and then alongside that they might study English, and they might study music, for example. And those 2 studies are complementing the creative media and making that course a little bit richer. The CP students also have their own core. They don't do theory of knowledge and extended essay, but they still do the service aspect of it. They also focus on a reflective project. They focus on language development, and they focus on personal skills. So that's very much about preparing them for the world of work. Which is, the focus of the career program. This is their IB image diagram. You can see again at the center the learner profile, those 12 qualities that then comes out towards the reflective project, the language development, the personal and professional skills, and the service. And then again, we've got the career-related studies and the diploma program. So again, it's about that whole program. They're picking up a whole skill set. I have got a thing about marine biology at the moment. I don't know why. I'm not a scientist, not even in the least. But I picked marine biology. I just wanted to give you an example of what this might look like in reality. I went with the University of St. Andrews, again, just a random pick. It just happens to be a good university that runs a marine biology degree. So obviously, if one was looking to become a marine biologist, a university would typically look, first of all, at the GCSEs. You can see here, students will be expected to have a B grade or above in English, be that language or literature or both, and they would also be expected to have an A level in one of those subjects there. For A level qualifications, it's not working, still not working, not working. There we go, it's working now. Oh, no, I missed one. Back again, there we go. A level, they would be expected to have grades of AAB in biology and 1 or 2 of those other subjects. But for IB, they will be expected to have 36 points, including biology and including, you can see, a much wider range of subjects. So by following the IB course, they actually have a greater opportunity because they've studied a broader range. I've spoken for enough. That's enough from me. A debate is what you were promised, and a debate you shall have. I'm going to now invite the students from the World Scholars Cup, our World Scholars Cup scholars, who, when we did this morning, were absolutely brilliant, and I'm sure they're going to be brilliant for you now. I'm going to invite them to the stage to debate the motion you can see on the screen now. Please.